At Capsule Corp, BROLY sits restrained in sophisticated-looking irons. No matter how hard he struggles, he fails to break free. When Brawl enters the room, the Saiyan leers at her in anger. With almost just as much spite, she derides that they've brought some food for him, a hot meal at that. Though the monster merely turns away in disgust at the situation. She bends down to place the tray in front of him, mocking he's a full-blooded Saiyan, so he must be a real pig too, just like her father, urging him to be a good boy and eat. Pressing a button nearby, being released from his chains. He doesn't wait to grab a hold of Brawl. Grinding his teeth, he vows to kill her. Alarmed but not completely terrified, Brawl shouts she'll tell him right now. The era when he was the strongest is long over. These words do nothing to deter the maniac. Continuing, she states nowadays, anyone who so much as a drop of Saiyan blood can become a Super Saiyan, which means he has no choice but to do what they say. Slamming her hand down on another button, it completely fries BROLY, incapacitating him. With a smug expression, Brawl's happy to showcase what she meant firsthand. Elsewhere, gazing downward, Omega mentions aloud, it seems a Super Saiyan from the past has been resurrected through Piranga's power, hence the reason for his summoning. Goku can't help but wonder who that could be, and for what purpose. The dragon then explains, those on Earth are trying out a method of restoring their own Dragon Balls. Silent for a moment, Goku realizes he can do nothing but wait for his friends back home to take care of business. Omega chirps this goes for every dragon, and it's not like Goku is the exception. With that being said, one of them here is neither a dragon or a resident of the Ryu'oshin Realm, not clicking immediately with our hero. Of course, this means Pycon, who even himself appears a bit confused at what Omega Shenron is getting at. In a dream, BROLY's father calls out for his son to listen well, who is found sitting upon a throne. Paragus affirms he must despise with every fiber of his being the royal family who sent them into exile, as well as all other Saiyans besides the two of them. Though the dream quickly turns into a nightmare, as he can't overcome his rage towards Goku. Regaining his consciousness, he breaks from the restraints, growling the name Kakarot, rushing in first. Bulma. Lucky for her, Vegeta isn't far behind, who gives him a death stare before asking if he also wants to kill him, the prince. Without even waiting for an answer, he scoffs if that's the case. Then he has to get stronger. At his current power, he doesn't so much as stand a chance against his son, let alone himself. Being so easily overpowered seems to bring him somewhat back to his senses, though Vegeta continues to egg him on. Appearing to make his decision, he extends his arm towards him, but the look on both of their faces doesn't instill confidence this will go well for the legendary Super Saiyan. Instead, blowing a hole in the wall, Bulma naturally lets loose her familiar sassy self, screaming he can't just go around destroying her house like this. Keeping his eyes locked on Vegeta, he promises one day he will kill him. With a smile, the prince laughs he'd just try it, letting him take off and leave. His wife scowls if it's okay to simply let him go like that. Before he can answer, Trunks rushes in, horrified at the thought BROLY may have escaped. But as she does, Bulma informs he didn't get away. Vegeta here let him go, causing the young Saiyan to remind his father they need BROLY to revive Goku, but possibly dooming them all. He asks how many times he has to tell everyone they don't need Kakarot to defeat Zykhor. Arguing this is no time to get prideful, Vegeta walks past him, telling everything will be alright and to just follow him to the gravity room. He lowers his shoulders in defeat, believing all of this is now hopeless. If his father won't even help, how can they think BROLY will? Not far away, a waitress thanks a customer for waiting, delivering their order of a Miracle Cream chocolate parfait. The customers being Goten and Palace, the former pleading with his love interest. Something very important came up the other day. That's why he didn't show up to meet with her and the others. But the girl is completely unforgiving to those who forget to keep their promises. In a nervous sweat, it's not actually so much he forgot. However, he doesn't know exactly how to convey what happened. Resolving to be blunt and likely sound like a crazy person, he explains how this bad guy came from outer space. So to protect the Earth, he and a few friends found him and he himself ended up getting knocked out by the evildoer. That's all. For whatever reason, Pan is seen to have joined her uncle on this date. Snatching her ice cream, she downs it like a martini, leaving our Saiyan hero even more worried how worked up this incident has gotten her. Staving off the brain freeze like a boss, she questions what happened after he woke up. Still not knowing how to elaborate, he simply blurts out the bad guy isn't exactly dealt with yet, so his father's friend, Vegeta, is making him go train for a while. And quickly zipping him away, Pan barks he hurry up and spit it out already, who promises he's trying, asking her to wait here. He tells Palace the thing is, he has to go fight that alien, so they won't be able to see each other for a while. Coldly, she calls Goten a liar, revealing that alien did turn out to be just a cute little monkey. For a moment, putting the boy at a loss. The girl adds it didn't even do anything wrong for someone to want to fight it. Putting together, she's referring to the alien they spoke of in class the other day. He tries to explain that's not the one he's talking about. This one is completely different. But she hates liars more than anything. Proving some battles can't be won, as both he and Pan appear to have given up. Unbeknownst to them, BROLY is looking into the city from above, spotting a couple children with their father, even despite the wonderful connection they seem to have. The Saiyan can't help but become enraged at the thought of his own, remembering back to a moment he was screaming in agony, as Paragus only hissed for him to quiet down. Furthermore, commanding him to abandon all thought and let his mind become blank, as he could merely beg him to stop. Of course, he was only able to do this because of the device placed on his head. Taking his anger out on those nearby, he shouts, "Pikkon, trash!" So, you're BROLY, huh? Coming out of nowhere, Omega's plan for Pycon slowly begins to show itself. He comments on how bloodshot and crazed the Saiyan appears, but not in the mood to talk. BROLY demands he tell him who he is. Speaking fairly, Pycon admits it's kind of a long story. In no mood for games, the villain repeats the question, commanding he explain his presence here. Cheerfully, he reveals he's come to persuade him. Understandably confused by this admission, the Otherworld warrior goes on to detail the Earthlings' plan to revive Goku. But they need his help. Which begs the question, Goku, do you mean Kakarot? Confirming the two are one and the same. BROLY can't believe it, asking if this means Kakarot is no longer in the living world. Again informing that is indeed the case. Taking great joy in the realization Kakarot is finally dead. This means now all he has to do is kill Vegeta, and he will be the lone Saiyan in existence. But that's not really the reaction Pycon meant to provoke. He explains something terrible has happened and they actually need BROLY to help revive him. This mention does nothing to slow his elation, inquiring what makes them think he'd be so eager to help. And truth be told, Pycon knew it wouldn't be that easy to convince him. The Saiyan admits he doesn't know how he is brought back, but plans to do things his own way, starting by killing all these annoying Earthlings. Pumping his fists, our hero is fine with this, but first he must defeat him, though BROLY feels pretty confident in his ability to take on this newcomer. Not wanting any innocents to come into harm's way, Pycon suggests they change locations, much to the reluctance of the villain. Showcasing how vastly outmatched he is. He questions why BROLY is so frustrated. Is it his hatred for Son Goku? His jealousy of Vegeta? Further inquiring why he hates his fellow Saiyans. Try asking yourself the source of your anger. Shut up! Shut up! While furious on the outside, BROLY indeed knows what makes him so chronically irate, overhearing a conversation his father had, where he called his son nothing but a pawn. He plans to simply use BROLY to become the new Saiyan King himself. He falls to the ground, holding his head at the memory. This signals to Pycon. He does know his trigger. Be quiet! Open yourself, BROLY. Hours pass. But Broly wouldn't fall into a blind fury like so many times before, and neither would he defeat his adversary. In a first, his opponent merely let him tire himself out. He appears to have given up on the battle, almost having a casual moment, asking where Kakarot is now, who informs he's currently training in the Heavenly Realm, then wanting to know if he's even stronger than Pycon, causing him to admit he is vastly stronger. Just barely connecting the thread in the conversation, the Saiyan mutters he is only interested in fighting, and he will surpass Goku and Vegeta before killing them both with his own hands, which allures. He has agreed to resurrect Goku. Pycon asks if that means that, but he assures his goal will not change, no matter how outmatched he is. And so, their month of preparation formally begins. In the gravity room, really getting into the sparring, even Trunks can't help but feel Goten may be overdoing it, as Vegeta appears to be having at some mental training. At Satan Stadium, the girls do a little of their own dusting up, taking a liking to both kids, not just his granddaughter. Hercule worries they're going to hurt themselves if they keep going at it so hard. With many of Earth's fighters giving it their all to train against Zykhor, who else will we see join the battle?